Hey everybody, Jay Weidner here. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hit like, subscribe, and all that. Tell your friends. Getting ready to shoot my next film with Ryder Lee. So all my stuff is packed up there and going out into the world to begin shooting. I've already shot one interview. I'm shooting two more coming up in the next week, and then have four more to do after that. And then we can start editing. It's going to be, I'm thinking of making it the third volume of my Kubrick's Odyssey series. Um, and it's about Kubrick, and it's going to be really good. It's going to break open reality for everybody. So look forward to that. Anyway, that should be out. I don't know. I'm hoping by September, and I want to shoot another film before the end of the year. So today I want to talk about two books. As we uh, as we leave the Kali Yuga and enter into the beginning of the Dvapara Yuga, um, we're going to have one kind of revelation after another. And things that we thought we knew, we're going to find out we don't know. And this is going to be a very interesting thing that happens. And uh, we should be on the lookout for new revelations. So these two books don't have sound. If I tell you what they're about, it sounds like they have nothing to do with each other, and maybe they don't. But let's talk about this one first. This is the one you want to read first, The Naked Bible by Mauro Biglino. I hope that's how he pronounces it. And this is Biglino as when he was a young man, he wanted to know what the Bible was saying, really saying, not what they were telling him it said. So he went off and he learned all the languages that were used in the writing of the Bible, the Old Testament, the Torah, and discovered what my friend Jordan Maxwell always knew all along. And I wish Jordan had lived long enough to read this book because he would have just made his day because this book confirms everything that Jordan been saying for decades. I used to go over to Jordan's apartment and listen to him for hours and hours talking about the Elohim and how there was no God in the Bible and that the God that is mistranslated, it's not God, it's Elohim. It's a group of dudes, I think, um, who came here from somewhere else and manipulate humanity. The gods in India are these gods, the Anunnaki, the Elohim, Quetzalcoatl, um, Viracocha in Peru. They're all part of this group that's manipulating humanity. And different groups of humanity are different experiments of the Elohim. So each race is a different experiment for whatever reasons. And I can't tell you what those reasons are because I don't know. But this book is absolutely a mind blower. And if you were raised, Christian, Jewish, or Muslim, you need to read this book because you'll find out that the book that all of those religions are based on is mistranslated. And it was probably St. Jerome who did the mistranslation of the Bible, didn't know what he was talking about. So that's it. I'm not saying that there isn't a God or anything like that. I'm just saying that the people in the Bible, the Elohim, are not gods. They may be long lived. They might be having a highly advanced science. I don't know, but they're not gods. And they're very manipulative. And they've done this incredible thing with us where they make us think that these heinous acts that they do are sacred. So, you read so-called sacred texts of Christians and Jews and Muslims, and they'll talk about how Yahweh killing thousands of people is this great sacred thing. And we see over and over that Yahweh is saying, I will bring you peace if you do what I tell you to do. I will bring you plenty of food and women and money if you kill who I tell you to kill. And Um, and there is no God in the Bible. There is none. Now, Jesus, he was a rebellion. And you can see in the book of John and Jesus's own words that he's clearly delineating himself from Yahweh, from the Old Testament God, saying that he's not part of what Jesus is trying to talk about. And I think Christians should pay heed to that because it's important. Yahweh is a war god. Yahweh is a storm god. Um, and he chose his chosen people to do his bidding, and that's what's going on. And I believe it's highly possible that the Elohim are still here, still manipulating us. Um, I think it was what Woodrow Wilson said that underneath everything, there's a power so dark and powerful that it makes the strongest of men shudder, something like that. Excuse me. Water went down the wrong pipe. Okay, so that's what I think. I think it was a great book. You need to read this twice. And then when you're done reading this, you need to read this one, A New Science of Heaven by my good friend Robert Temple. You need to read this 3 times. I'm on my third read, almost halfway through. I'm on my third read. I'm now highlighting, and I'm one of those situations where I'm highlighting the whole book. And this is really Robert Temple's masterpiece. This will go down as his greatest legacy. This book is about the plasma universe. And what Temple shows us is that the Earth is surrounded by a plasma cloud, actually several plasma clouds. And what plasma is ionized air or gas, and it is it's electricity. And our Earth has a donut-shaped cloud around it that is 50 times the size of the Earth. There's also the Kordylewski clouds, which are each 4 to 5 times bigger than the Earth, that surround the Earth. And Temple shows us that this plasma cloud interacts with the Earth. And we, and all life, trees, animals, humans, fish, all begin as up in the plasma cloud. And that we manifest down here on Earth through filaments, which come down from the plasma cloud and short out. And when they hit the ground, they short. But when they don't hit the ground, when they stay above the ground, they manifest living beings. And this is almost all the great spiritual teachings from the East say that we were here when we first came to Earth. You could see through us, and we were light and as air. But then as we stayed here, we began solidifying and then became human beings. And Temple shows us that that in this plasma cloud, individuated plasma beings can form. And he shows you how plasma creates a sheath, just like human skin, only it's the electrical version of human skin. It's got the same layers, everything, but it's electricity, ions moving in opposite directions and opposite charges, creating a membrane so that the plasma individuates into a single individual plasma being, which is called a plasmoid. And these plasmoids are ball lightning is a plasmoid, is what Temple is saying. And I've seen ball lightning, and I think he's right. And we know that ball lightning has sentience and intelligence and awareness, because ball lightning will, go down chimneys and come into a person's house and fly around the house and then go out the window. It can go right through a wall without losing its form. That's been seen by witnesses doing that. A hunter is going through the forest and a plasma ball is following him. There's the famous NASA video, which I've shown on this show several times, of the tether experiment with the space shuttle, where they release this mile-long copper wire which floated away from the space shuttle. And as they were videotaping it, all these little balls of light kept going around the copper wire as if they were curious as to what it was. That's a NASA video. And so these plasmoids come here to Earth. And James Trevor Constable and Nick Hayes, who I've had on the show, both have photographed these plasmoids up in the air with special cameras using infrared. And there's a YouTube site called Bruce Sees All, where he has a 14-inch telescope that he's videotaping stuff on the moon, buildings and towers and UFOs flying around. It's great. Bruce Sees All. Don't stop. Go there and see it as soon as you're done watching this. And Bruce all the time catches these little plasmoid creatures that are flying across the moon. And he doesn't quite understand what they are. He senses that they're alive, and he's right, they are. And so plasma can create inorganic life that's sentient with intelligence. And all paranormal and mystical experiences are our interactions with the larger plasma field. And Temple talks about how our body is made out of plasma, that the brain is plasma. When you photograph the human brain, it looks just like outer space with the Birkeland currents, which are these giant currents that connect every star, electric currents that double braid like DNA that go between every star. So every star is connected through this web of cosmic plasma, and including our sun. And the way that the sun is powered is not through thermonuclear explosions like we were taught in science. The sun is powered by a Birkeland current, which is hitting the north pole of the sun, going down into the sun. That's a negative charge going in, and then a positive charge comes out of the sun in all directions, which we call the solar wind. And the solar wind is a plasma wind, which blows out, and the whole entire solar system is encased in the corona, or the solar body, or the plasma body of our sun. And every star has this, and our planet has it. And other planets may also have their own plasma body. And so when you die, you go back up into the plasma body. There's a filament that connects the large plasma cloud surrounds the Earth with you. And it connects right here, the soft spot where the baby, when you're a baby, it's all soft right here. It connects right here. It's called the Sushumna in Vedic terminology. And it's a millionth the width of a human hair, something like that. I can't remember what it is. You can't see it. You can't see you can't see plasma, by the way. It's invisible. It's out of our range of what we can see. And so we can't see it, but occasionally you can see it when the conditions are right. And so your brain and your spinal column are where the plasma concentrates most. And it creates this body of light, invisible light that surrounds every human, every animal, every tree, every plant. Anything that's alive has this plasma body around it. When you live in the city, your plasma body tends to shrink because it doesn't want to mix with other plasma bodies that it doesn't know. It just has that tendency. It just doesn't want to do it because you don't know what you're getting into. So if you give permission, you kind of have to give permission to your plasma body to interact with other people, like your lover or your friend or your pet or your child or whatever. And then you want them to interact. But when you're in the city, you're in an elevator with a bunch of people, you don't want to interact. So your plasma body clings to the skin. But when you're in the country, it expands outwards and it gets really big. And your plasma body actually, people don't realize, but this light body, this plasma body, this rainbow body of the Tibetans, as they called it, it actually slightly heats up the body, actually. And so when you're sick, your plasma body starts shrinking down to almost to skin level. And you get cold. You're cold. You don't know why. You got a lot of blankets on. You don't know why. It's because the illness is reducing your light body. And when you die, your light body reduces and it goes below the skin, and it reduces until it wraps around your spine, your spinal column. And as that happens, you begin to get really cold. And so when you're dying and you start getting really cold, that's your light body, your plasma body beginning to condense and surrounding your spinal column. And then finally, at the moment of death, it shoots back up out through that filament and goes back up into the larger plasma cloud. That's the tunnel that people say they see when they die. That's the inside of that filament you're traveling through, your plasma body. And then it goes back up into the larger plasma field. So I've actually seen twice in my life what I believe are plasma beings. I don't know what else to say they were. I've told the story before, but one time I was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe, I was out in the area where I live, and it was late in the day. The sun was starting to go down a little bit, and I looked up in the sky and I saw something flying around in the air about 40 feet above me, and it was translucent. I could see right through it, and it was flying, and it looked just like a manta ray. It looked like a glass manta ray that was moving, floating. Its wings were moving, and its tail was moving. There was no wind. First, I thought it was a plastic bag floating in the wind, but there was no wind, and it had definition. And then another manta ray, invisible, translucent manta ray, plasma being, it came and they started like flying together and dancing. And then a third one came, and the three of them were dancing, and then they just kind of went away, and I couldn't see them anymore. And then, the people who have photographed these plasma beings frequently describe them as fish-like, fish-shaped, and these were fish-shaped. And I told Christopher O'Brien, who wrote a whole bunch of really good books about paranormal experiences in Colorado, that I'd seen this, and then he sent me a photograph of which someone had photographed him in a group doing something, and there was this translucent manta ray on the photograph, and it was it. It looked just like it, and I was seriously blown away. The second plasma experience that I had was also in the same place, and it was a cold December morning, sunny day, and I was having my coffee, and I was looking out the window at the field in front of me, and I saw a what I thought at first it was made out of smoke, white smoke, but it was a perfect corkscrew. It was about 30 feet in diameter, and it was traveling at about 60 miles an hour, left to right, and it must have been like a mile long. And I went by for it. It took like a minute and a half to go by at 60 miles an hour, and I watched, and I could see the smoke inside the corkscrew ring, kind of twisting and turning. And I thought that it was smoke until later I realized that it was plasma. I have no idea what it is, what I was seeing, but it was plasma. And if you look at plasma, it looks smoky or misty. And I think that's where the word mystical and mystic comes from, is because people have an experience with the plasma, and then they see it and it looks smoky. They think it's a fog or a smoke, and they describe it in various different ways. And in fact, what they're dealing with is plasma. And they always say that they hear like electrical buzzing when they witness all this. I did not hear electrical buzzing, but I was inside and it was outside. Anyway, I did look up, and finally I found that these same corkscrew white entities frequently are seen in the video feed from ISS, the space station, going around the Earth. These things like come around and shoot and fly around the space station. And I think they're what Jose Escamillo called rods. I think that's what I saw. I think rods are some kind of corkscrew shaped plasma entity. And I can't tell you any more than that. And these plasma entities aren't affected by wind or any of the elements. Rain goes right through them. And I've even, after reading this great book, A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple, I've even begun thinking that aliens aren't really aliens. that they're actually entities coming out of the plasma cloud, manifesting here just the same way that we manifested. They put a filament down from the plasma cloud. As it gets close to the earth, it begins building beings. And all the stories of from the past and fairy tales and people suddenly manifesting or people unmanifesting. Well, we finally have an explanation for how this could be. And so, why do I think these two books are two of the most important books coming out of the Dvapara Yuga that we're currently entering? And that's why I think these books are coming out. I think that we are reaching a new understanding of history and the spiritual world that surrounds us in a way that is both scientific and concrete. And so, the question I have with this book is, who the hell are the Nephilim and why are they messing with us? Right? Why are they behind all the major religions and from India to Quetzalcoatl to everywhere else? Why are they constantly remaking society? Are they in the middle of remaking us right now? Is that what's going on right now? Are we being remade as a species by this Elohim? And then the question is, why do the Elohim do this? And now my final question is, are the Elohim actual physical beings, or are they plasma beings from the plasma cloud who come down here, manifest as human beings, and then give us religion and order us around and all that? I think it's a high possibility that they are, and that there are not really, probably, maybe even aliens, that probably, instead of somebody flying across outer space millions of light years and then crashing, that what we really have is beings coming from the plasma sphere, the plasma cloud that surrounds us. And they come in light ships that are made out of plasma. And there's physical ships, don't get me wrong. I think those might be U.S. military, however. And I haven't decided who's building the stuff that Bruce sees all up on the moon. It could very well be that it is new, because we know from the translunar phenomena report that NASA generated in 1967, which was basically a blow-by-blow of astronomers who watched the moon and saw anomalous events. They didn't see these buildings. They saw lights flying around. They saw weird mists, and they saw things like that, but they didn't see all of these buildings that Bruce is seeing. So I'm wondering if this isn't like maybe us in a build out of some kind up there right now. I don't know. It would seem to me that the plasma beings wouldn't need to build physical structure because they are so much more powerful than we are. And our brain is electrical in nature, and Temple shows us that the plasma could just be a giant brain. It really could be. And it could be doing calculations so much faster than anything that we could do, because there's the electricity is super conductive in this plasma cloud. It has no resistance. There's not running by wire. So there's no copper wire causing resistance in the flow of electricity. It's through these double helix Birkeland currents that travel. And what these are invisible, like invisible wires that wire everything together. And Temple shows us how plasma can build lattices just like crystals. So plasma can become an invisible crystalline structure that has all the power of a crystal, only it's invisible and it's made out of electricity. It's made out of plasma. It's so mind-blowing. And so I'm going to do my lecture that I did in Vegas here in a few weeks after I get done shooting here on the show. And I'm going to present my plasma findings that are on top of what Temple has found. And really, I can't give these guys enough credit. These two guys really have brought a incredible enlightenment to the world, and these are recent books. So this is all new stuff, and it's really exciting. And our understanding of the plasma universe is going to change the way that we look at the universe, where we are immortal. When we die, we go back up into the plasma cloud. We go up through that filament. When we die, our plasma body begins collapsing. It sinks down below the layer. It wraps itself around the spinal column, goes out through the top, through the filament, and we go back up into the plasma cloud. This is the information the powers that be do not want you to know, because they want you to be afraid. They want you to be afraid of dying. And there's nothing to be afraid of. And so that's it. I'm Jay Weidner. Thanks for watching, and I really appreciate your support.